I'm Dale Matthews, and I'm joined by Mike Jones. Hello, Mike.
How you doing? It's another low bandwidth night, so bear with us on the choppiness.
Sometimes we have to actually webcast a little later because we have to wait to see if Google can catch up with us. It's just one of those things that happens occasionally. As you can see over my shoulder, I have an illustration that says deny all recordings. That's this one, not this one. Okay. So that's what's been happening lately. You heard us mention a couple of nights ago that something very odd had happened with Wally Hicks. I like Wally. We need Wally. But even he was saying, well, I don't think that's what was said in that courtroom. Wally, well, you have the tape. Yes, I do. And so we played back for you exactly what was said, and Wally backed off a little. Roy Lindsay didn't. He was angry. That's not what was said. Yeah, that's was no, no, no. And he was angry. I don't know what to do for those kinds of people. I mean, they're no longer arguing with me. They're now arguing with plastic and metal. So,
and the point about that really is that they don't really care whether or not it was actually said. They're just saying, "Shut up, shut up." That's what they're doing.
Wow, that even intimidated me. Okay, I'll shut up the rest of the show. No,
yes.
it's
Okay.
really disturbing. Now, today was a pretty important day for the fire standards controversy. Why is it even a controversy? It doesn't need to be a controversy, but it is because they just keep denying things. And at the very beginning of this tape that we're going to play back for you is a little bit of Cheryl Walker claiming that that the county isn't doing any of these fire standards because it's trying to pressure people out of business. No, and they're certainly not doing it for any monetary reasons. Why are they doing it, Mike?
Oh, it's safety. They care about us, and we're too stupid to make our own decisions as it relates to safety. So we're going to abdicate our responsibility in this free country to these people here who are going to make sure that we're safe.
Now, this first part at the end, it's going to dip to black. You can pause. We can talk about it. And then all the rest of it will be a meeting that happened today in the little back room with representatives there from various fire companies. And this time, the fire guys out of Merlin Fire guys, were invited. And they said, well, you've always been invited. No, we never got an email about this. Well, of course you got an email. No, we didn't get an email. Yes, you. No, we didn't. Well, okay. Here's what Cheryl Walker has to say now. Pay attention.
This board is about public safety, and that's the only motivation for this ordinance. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner,
no comments.
okay.
That's all the reason. You know what? He knows what's coming down the pike. That's why he's stepping out of the way of the train. That's what's happening there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everybody put their foot in it today. And I'm sorry to say, you need to watch over on the left side of your screen. As you can see that during all this, Wally Hicks is sitting there. Okay, play back to first. There's some funny parts at the beginning, so we try to ease you into the bad news. Go ahead with the funny parts at the beginning, Mike.
This is still a very early planning process of a draft ordinance, and I reiterate, this is a draft ordinance. It is not set in concrete. It is not the final approval. And we're all going to rise up and say, "This is it. We're far, far, far from."
Is that DRAFT?
Yes. Don't dare comment on that.
The Board of Commissioners and the parties that are directly involved, with the fire districts or the fire to the private two fire companies in the county. So, with that background, let us begin. And we have sent out a draft 2 to all the interested parties, participating parties, and have gotten some back. Our emergency services, Jenny has collated them, has put them in some form. You have done what with it?
I gave them to legal counsel, who has incorporated what could be incorporated.
So that's one. You didn't know that she didn't do it.
So we are basically looking at that. There is no draft 3 yet.
Well, you're going to find out that's number
2A.
2.
But there is no draft 3 that we've all looked at and agreed upon, had our stamp of approval on, to move on to draft 3. We're still dealing with
Listen to
draft 2A.
Simon.
The sake of clarity, so we're going to get lost in what draft we're on and that kind of thing. So anyway, where are we at on the,
I think for clarity, I don't know if the board has approved. I haven't approved any draft, but I'm just let them.
That's number 3.
Grown organically, which I think is a really good process.
yeah,
Then at what point though that has been pretty well vetted, then we kind of sit down and say, all right, this looks good, scratch that.
no, when I say,
I just wanted to make
yeah,
sure.
approved, we met
that it
the
is
first,
something.
whatever numbers of times we met, and we talked and we had input and we had all sorts of conversations on it. Those were then collated and we arrived at a draft 1. And
That's
what-
number 4.
Then comments came back, draft 2 was put out. And not that either one of those drafts were approved as.
You just said
finished
approved.
product by any means, but they are drafts, and I keep saying that, they're drafts. And drafts mean that they are open for discussion, they're open for review, they're open for all kinds of stuff, so.
They're open for
this
discussion.
is
Oh, I'll
it is
remember that
organic
next
document.
Wednesday.
It is growing, it is developing, it is far from being finished. It's not even close to being a preteen yet, it's still in
What?
its infantile stages, so.
It's certainly in its infantile status. I'll give you that.
But I think we're all in agreement that having something similar to this is profitable for Josephine County. We
Profitable.
want to see
Yep.
some progress being made in that direction. So that's the reason for all of the energy and the efforts of everybody being involved in this. So, Mr. Legal Counsel, well, your input is on what we have received from you and you have incorporated into the draft 2A, I'll call it, because we haven't yet talked about this one, and got the input and that was seen, whatever, and everybody has received this draft 2A, the fire districts and companies and any interested parties.
It's listed as draft 3.
Yeah,
So
it's listed. as-
Wrong again.
And you meant to say draft 2A, so we don't get confused.
I can certainly change it. We were going in number order in the interest of simply clarifying from draft to draft. So I
Right.
don't believe that there was any expectation or understanding that moving from one draft to the other meant that there had been an approval process as much as it simply indicated an additional evolution of input being added.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Absolutely right, Mike. It's absolutely right.
Yes.
Everything he said up to this point is absolutely wrong, but what she's now saying is absolutely right. He doesn't know what he's doing. And remember, this is the guy they decided he's the only one that can represent the truth of what the county has to say about any of this. And he's not getting any of the little details right, not one of them.
Yeah, and he's still speaking in such a way that you shan't comment on it because this is a draft in its infantile stages, and really you should just shut up until I'm done with it. And I mean, this is the Josephine County version of, hey, just wait until the ordinance is passed, then you can find out what's in it.
Yeah. Well, they'll eventually persuade him to stop calling it Draft 2A. They'll eventually get him to change his mind. And that's what he meant all along. What's the matter with you guys? Go ahead. Keep
Yes.
going.
Yeah, absolutely right. Good.
I think from my standpoint, going from draft to draft, when I was working on the urban growth boundary, it took 3 or 4 years to do. I also had a chance to look at the comprehensive comments that may or may not have, gone into changes in draft UGB. Some things we just couldn't do. Doubling the size of parks or whatever just didn't happen. But I wanted to see that those comments came in so that I could evaluate and, oh, okay, so people are interested in more parks. That's what I got out of it, even if I can't incorporate it. So for this standpoint, I didn't see in the red line version of draft 2A very many instances where things were actually changed. Very few, I think I counted 3, maybe 4, not just one. But what were those elements that didn't make it in, that were maybe good thoughts, but just don't really?
There's substantial feedback that is not correct yet, not reflected in this, I'll call it the October 7th draft. Might be the consensus name for the document.
Well, let's, for the sake of minutia, let's arrive at, do we want to just continue everything we have put out there? That's a new draft, draft 3, draft 4.
Whatever the latest.
Okay, we'll go with your draft. We'll go with draft 3.
Draft 3 is, okay. Thank you. So there was substantial feedback. Feedback came in from either 4 or 5 sources, I believe. One of which there was Illinois Valley Fire submitted some feedback. I think 911 submitted a little bit more feedback. Rural Metro submitted some feedback, and County Fire Security also submitted feedback.
Now, it's interesting to note that one of the places that sent feedback was 911. Who are 2 members of the 911 board? At her insistence, Cheryl Walker and her husband. This harkens back to Dave Toller, who told the original library board, here, I'll write up something, you submit it, and then it'll be submitted to the board. Now listen, Dave, this is where I parted ways with Dave. I said, if you're going to write it up, aren't you really reporting back to yourself? So if Cheryl Walker and the 911 board give you feedback, and they say in this, I don't know if, I think it's in this section, they say most of the feedback came from the 911 board. Gee, I wonder how that works. Could it be that Cheryl Walker was the one that had most of the feedback? And of these 5 sources, do any of the 5 sources of feedback happen to include, oh, I don't know, anyone from the public? Well, no, because we really couldn't incorporate those. Really? Okay. Well, we'll see how that works for them. Go ahead, Mike.
The bulk of the feedback was, at least for my purposes, not really specific enough to incorporate into language that you could consider as part of a draft. It was
a general sentiments of
yes.
points of contention or improvement.
Yes, exactly. And so there's quite a lot of discussion that would be necessary to flesh out actual language that could be translated into an ordinance. The bulk of the feedback that was unfortunately not I wasn't able to incorporate did come from both Rural Metro and also from County Fire Security. And so I do have the documents that they submitted. County Fire Security submitted their document on October 5th, 2015. Rural Metro submitted a document on October 6th. And so probably you have not received
I think that would be helpful for me, to just kind of, what are people talking about that didn't make it in?
Would you be comfortable just going over what's in there for them? Telling them what's in the documents? I can do that, but
We can read it. Yeah, I don't feel like, I don't want you to be caught on it not reflecting, well, we thought this was the most important point,
Yeah.
Jenny didn't say it, or
no.
that's not where we want to go. But my thought is, philosophically, I think my reading of it was pretty comprehensive. It captures a lot of things. But what we need to address is whether or not, philosophically, I'm okay with this group, the Fire Defense Board or the Board of Commissioners, assigning, like, for instance, a rate, that we approve a rate. I'm okay with some good meeting minimum standards or whatever, but if they want to do it as a philanthropic organization, somebody comes in.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
So this is what the big controversy is about tonight. Now, next time we're going to talk about another controversy from the same meeting. What did he just say philosophically about approving a rate? After this meeting was over, I went and I saw Wally, and I said, did you just hear them talking about approving a rate? And Wally's answer was, I'm sorry, everybody, but Wally's answer was, they didn't say that. This was not discussed. Approving a rate. Okay, now you're going to hear them say approving a rate schedule several times in this meeting. According to Wally Hicks, deny all recordings, they never said it. I was very specific with him, but they did talk about approving a rate. About you come in. Well, I said, of course, they said that they're going to give them their rates so the county commissioners would know. I don't know why the county commissioners need to know. Does Dutch Brothers come in? I don't think it's any of their business. What if you're running a company and you don't want to hand over your rates? Well, they're going to share them with everybody. Okay, I think that's a good thing. But you're required? No, it's none of your dang business.
Yeah, listen, some things are between the consumer and the company that you're dealing with. And I know that there's some people out there that are really weak sauce individuals and they can't handle negotiating their own thing. They want somebody to approve of the rate they got, and that'll make it feel like it's official. Well, let me tell you something. The deeper this board gets into what you're paying for your fire service, you can bet it's going to be more. You don't want this kind of stuff. This is a hindrance to free trade. Some people don't like free trade. I guess they like paying more for everything and like having the government in all of your business. I personally don't. I don't need those guys. If I want to contract with the guy down the street with his garden hose, I'll do it. But that's my choice. And these guys are getting in the way of it. And they said this was all about safety. It's not all about safety. Now they want to start meddling in the rates that they can charge.
Now, later on, you'll hear Simon say, well, it's really not fair if whatever company is charging this neighbor one rate and that neighbor another rate. Maybe it's not fair, but it's none of your business. If he wants to charge these guys 10 times more than their next door neighbors, then don't do business with them.
Right.
But it's not the county's business to say you can't charge that rate. What's up with that?
Yeah, no, listen, they're getting involved in places where they don't belong. And I realize we're becoming a socialist society where we need to have people do stuff for us. Oh, no, I mean, Dale's laughing because he thinks that's goofy. But in reality, it is like that. Do we need to have somebody watching out for us at every step? We don't want anybody making a profit. I'm not protecting anybody who's going to try and be a vulture over the top of you. I'm saying leave the market free. You do your own work, and there's going to be people following this kind of stuff and telling you what's the best way to go. And you can talk to your friends. There's going to be services that will tell you who is good and who isn't. And you should understand what makes a good fire service. I'm not saying that there aren't better fire services and lesser fire services. Certainly there are. But, you can make the assessment yourself, and perhaps the lesser fire service costs less, and you can make that decision.
Okay, now
but when these guys jump in, you won't get that decision.
You'll hear them several times in this say, we're not getting involved in setting rates. They'd say that. But the problem is, every time you turn around, they start talking about having to approve the rates. Now, wait a minute. So you come into us as a private company, and then and you submit your rates, submit the rates, and then we'll approve them. Why will you need to approve them? So when I talk with county fire and security and security out and after the meeting, I said, you're going to submit your rates, and I said, they're going to approve them. Well, that's what it looks like. What if they don't approve them? Oh,
right.
I mean, I like those guys.
Listen,
but
the very fact that they're wanting you. Yeah, the very fact that they're wanting you to submit, it means at some point it's too low or it's too high or something. There is a criteria. What they're telling you there isn't. Of course there is. Otherwise they wouldn't require you to submit.
Why are you submitting anything? Okay, all right. Now, Wally said they did not discuss that. So that's one time you've heard it. And I'll try to let it play, but I'll do a count for you. And Wally's sitting right there at the table and denies they said this at all. Go ahead, Mike.
You're, is a billionaire and wants to just provide fire service. I don't know that I should mandate that they, or what is the argument of why we would establish like a rate for a franchisee within the county?
No, it'd be the same thing. I don't feel comfortable with me establishing a rate. That's the job of this private industry to do. If there is,
what would be the argument for why we would?
well, yeah,
My gut reaction is no, I don't think I should do that, but I want to hear
He's talking to Cheryl.
the other side.
What's your argument for it?
Because I think that might undermine the element of competitiveness that people are
You think?
arguing that that's what this does. I don't necessarily want to do that. I don't care if, they want to do it for free, but they have to meet these standards. These are the things that you're going to do if you're going to come in here. So don't be thinking you're going to do it for free and it's not going to cost you anything.
right, yeah.
Because there's some minimum requirements here that you're going to have to meet.
And I think that has been the focus, my focus from the get-go on this thing, is that we're not saying this, you have to have yellow trucks. You have to have a truck that is operable and that meets the minimum standards that are established.
And maybe yellow is the.
Maybe minimum standards because.
Yeah, you will be saying you have to have
built
built trucks.
how it operates, is operating safely.
Yeah.
And does it operate and accomplish the task, which is to protect life and property. And you can have some well-intentioned people that say, yeah, we're gonna do that. Okay, and you're out there with your garden hose. I'm sorry, garden hose in a pickup truck is not a fire truck.
Oh, really? Okay. Now, throughout this, sorry, just to
Garden
try to
hose
be a
and pickup
little
truck.
more lighthearted, there's obviously something wrong with Cheryl's papers. Now, you watch during this, she shuffles and reshuffles and reshuffles and reshuffles and straightens out, and there's something wrong with her papers. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. Did you want me to keep going now or something?
But please, sorry. There's a delay, everybody. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm not getting that. I'm not catching all of what you say, so make it clear.
Okay.
And that's the struggle. I mean, and to say you have to have, I forget the word, somewhere talking about the minimum standards. The application process be viewed. It came back with 5 fire trucks designated as emergency vehicles, PPSST certified firefighters, ISO PPC insurance classification of 8 or better, insurance coverage and work compensation, and SEC license frequency.
They have all
I don't
those.
see what the brief is about that. I think to me that would be a minimum requirement for
Forget 24-hour staffing.
operating agencies to have. Because it's not the idea that you've got one guy having responsibility for the whole county. You've got to have some interoperation. And across the lines, you're going to have response teams and support. I don't think those are difficult ones to have. I think they're good. But that's part of the discussion.
Okay. That's good to hear. I'm in the same vein.
Now, Cheryl, come on.
This one that we see today from the Oregon Fire Chiefs Association, the last sentence on the last paragraph says, we interpret from your draft ordinance that you are not attempting to establish a sole provider of fire services. Which is, you go, okay, yeah, I mean, that's, thank you, but that's been, yeah. But then the shibboleth comes up, oh, you're trying to establish one company. No. Then you spend a whole bunch of time arguing to get something that doesn't even exist.
I think I said that. That will
Yeah.
never happen. No. I mean, people love, some people do, Chief Hope in the Illinois Valley, and they will die to have that fire protection service of a local person that they know and can hold responsible because they know where he lives. What do you mean you didn't show up at my place? You know, I'm a fire subscriber, blah, blah, blah. They're never going to want to subscribe to something that's based in Grants Pass. That's just, Williams is the same way, Wolf Creek, I would imagine. I mean, that's just not going to happen. So,
where are we at, lady and gentleman?
Well, I just want to say that the letters and the emails that I have received, people who have some kind of heartburn or consternation or whatever about the ordinance, the issues they're addressing are issues that we aren't even doing. We're saying that, you know, I don't want you to be, you know, dictating about the ambulance service. I mean, this isn't about ambulance service. They already have the ASA, you know.
We do dictate on that.
We do dictate on that. It's been that way for
anywhere.
what, 40
We do
years,
dictate
you
on
know?
that.
So, you know, we give this ambulance service and they come back saying we're going to be dictating the rates that these private companies can charge. Well, they're private businesses. We won't be dictating rates.
Well, I think that's in this draft, so people could construe that.
Well, we can recoup a rate
It
sheet.
can be removed.
Yeah,
So they're going to rewrite it because it does say that. And Simon just told them that that's what it says. And that's how people came to that conclusion.
Right.
So they're going to have to rewrite it in the new draft. Now, don't pay attention to the draft because it's a draft, but Simon's just saying, but that is what it says. Now, Cheryl's going to... Yeah, go ahead.
And that's a new entry. It wasn't in the last draft. I read the last draft. The fee structure thing, it wasn't in there.
Well, buddy,
Was it?
here we go. So now it's morphing into something else. Listen very carefully. This is not the only time she's going to say it, but listen very carefully to the backwards way that Cheryl puts this about submitting your fees for their approval. Listen to the way she says it. It's kind of backwards, but you'll hear her, and that's not the only time. Go ahead, Mike, please.
Yeah, that's the purpose of the
Or
draft.
it's the purpose of a draft, but if they come in and justify, just like any other friend, like the garbage company that we have, they have to come in, if they want a rate increase, they bring it in, they justify it, and you know, if it's sensible and they can document it, we don't say no. And the same thing would be true of fire companies, come in and say the increased cost of insurance, the increased cost of this, fuel, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, she's just saying that right there that we want to control what their fees are.
Right, now she said if they come in and they can justify to you, why are we justifying this to you? Their rate increase, then we won't say no. Well, okay, one could say, oh, well, that's not really saying they have to. But yes, it is. We're not fools.
Okay, but there's a little bit of a difference in the garbage company thing,
Yes.
because the garbage company has an exclusive
Right.
franchise. In other words, if you want your garbage picked up in Grants Pass, you have to go to this company and pay them. You
Right.
know, this is not the same situation as you know, a private contract. You either contract with them or you don't.
Right.
This
So
is
the first time I heard this,
and this is goofy.
the first time I heard this, I thought, well, okay, it's a little bit alarming, but okay. Oh, it's similar to that. Well, not exactly, because they do have a monopoly. Okay, and it's set up specifically by the county commissioners, kind of like cable TV. They have a monopoly, but it's not over yet. So keep watching. Here we go.
Rate increase.
Full rate proposals by solid waste agencies haven't been done in like,
30 years.
It's been a long time since our solid waste.
Right, so, you know, we're not trying to be punitive to people or tell someone, well, you can charge X $100, we're only gonna let this company charge these dollars, but,
Yeah.
you know, that's not what we're trying to do, though. You know, there's a lot of misunderstanding about the things that we are and are not trying to do.
apparently
And,
by you as well.
You know, complaining about the level of bureaucracy because we're creating an oversight board. We have an oversight board for everything. Everything that we put in place, whether it's public health,
Oh, really?
animal shelter, public safety. I mean, there's a board that people can go to, actually. You know, if they have an issue, they can go to that board rather than come to us. They can go to the board and say, what's happening? Why is it this way? How come this didn't work?
Okay, that's part one. Well, one of the questions I would have is, Why are you going to an oversight board? Why do you need an oversight board for coffee or for services like this? If it's a monopoly, yeah, go to the county commissioners. But, oh, this isn't more bureaucracy, Mike. What's the matter with you? We're going to have an oversight board. That's not bureaucracy.
Well, I would say that the people that you're regulating would consider it to be a bureaucracy. They may not say it to your face because they're worried about what you might do to them.
An oversight board. That's not bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you already heard him talk a little bit about minimum standards, of course, and which they think is absolutely essential because the state and federal standards is not enough in Josephine County because we're very unique, you see, and we have to have special rules. We've got to have an oversight board to watch over these private enterprises because if you don't have an oversight board, well, I'm not sure, but don't ask that kind of question. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
they might do something.
So they're going to talk more about approving rates or approving the rate structure. I defy you to come up with a difference between approving rates and approving a rate structure. Go ahead. We're going to hear more from both Cheryl and Simon.
Yeah, I will here. Hang on a second. I mean, we're hearing this. I'm amazed, and I'm seeing this all the time now in social media and just when in conversations with people. And you say, well, he's saying this. Well, he didn't say those exact words. Well, really, you have to have somebody tell you, I am now going to go to the store to know that, he's going to go to the store. Or something like that. Or, he comes back from the store with a bag under his arm and he has to tell you he's been to the store. No, you can observe this. There are many things where people, say things that make it very, very clear where they're going. I watched this piece of video here. There's nothing cryptic about that. They're obviously talking about the possibility of having people submit their rates to the board for approval.
Right.
Now, if that's what you want, that's fantastic. I don't want it, and I object to this idea that somehow you shouldn't have an opinion about it or say anything about it until the draft becomes law.
Okay.
Then you can complain once the draft becomes law, and then we'll just ignore you and not do anything about it. No, this is the time.
They got to jump on
this is the time. Right. This is the time when you have some input. This is the time when you can have some effect. After it becomes the final draft, it's a done deal because the only thing left is to go to the ambassador and vote on it. That's the only thing left to do. Anyway, here we go.
There may be conversations about why it is appropriate for the BCC to set a rate schedule or a minimum rate schedule or a maximum rate schedule. Because right now I don't have an argument in my head as to why we would do that. But there could be other things in here that I appreciate. I always want to start with as much as possible, frankly.
Yeah.
And whittle it down from there because I don't know. This isn't, where you get up in the morning and you just know everything about fire protection services and minimum standards. And so you want to know the portfolio of options out there and say, nah, I don't need that. So I think that would be really good for us to go through and say, what are those other things that we don't want to regulate? Or if we need to, why? So,
someone's walking by in the hallway.
Draft 3 does incorporate all of the comments that were incorporatable that we received. Ones that were legally able to do. Well, we're ones that didn't warrant discussion, so a word here, a clarification
worth
there.
discussing.
are there any big philosophical things that people had that are along these lines of a rate schedule that we could discuss right now? I want to be as efficient as possible. We have people in the audience who have obviously come with the understanding that they may be able to answer some of these questions right off the bat, and that kind of saved them from coming back.
In regards to rates and fees, okay, so that
He's talking about it now.
submitted the following statement.
That's
The
right.
applicant is to identify the current rate structure and any anticipated changes. We are unclear on the intentions behind this requirement and request further clarification before we take a position. So that's rural metro in regards to ACP.
That's rural metro
And
saying.
the same
And
issue.
they're requesting a finding of language to just providing the rate schedule and any justification to change it. For where it's drafted right now is they would provide it, we would approve it.
Approve it.
And that's what so they're looking to take out the approval part of it, just to provide it.
That's
what I
right.
heard.
I would definitely ask them for further clarification.
Okay, yeah. I would imagine that's where they wanted to go.
Um,
At the very minimum, they just provide a rate schedule. And
That's where I would, philosophical issue, I've got a problem of me as a representative of the board, putting out the rate schedule that you all acquiesce to and then, no, I don't like that.
I can see the board requesting the rate
Oh,
schedule
sure.
and having that in the franchise agreement so that somebody living here doesn't get charged for whatever reason, $2, and the guy right here gets charged 10 for no justification in a rate schedule.
None of your
Just based
business.
on the whims of the franchise, and that would seem not fair. But if it was, you go to the franchise agreement and say, well, you live 10 miles farther away than this guy. It's right here that you're going to be charged $2 per mile. That's why your rate is that, and this guy's rate is this.
They have
And
to
you find
justify
that out.
their
It wouldn't be willy-nilly on the people sign out.
You're right. Yeah.
If we have a baseline of requirements and those 6 issues, for instance, that's the baseline. Company A says, I can provide it to you for $150 a year. Company B says, we can provide it to you for $700 a year. I don't want to get involved in this thing.
I agree.
If they are able to provide the same basic service.
Yeah.
That's their job to wrestle through it, to write it. I don't want to get caught up in being
I don't think
the
they're saying anything that's too terribly different.
well, but when I provide the rate schedule that you will adhere to or defend why you cannot provide that,
defend.
I'm getting my nose into a different situation.
Right. Stay out of it.
Help me understand what, where my nose is asleep.
I don't
Simon
think
doesn't
that's
agree.
bad.
You'll
I
see.
was just saying that it's caught up in some way. Franchise agreement, what your rate schedule is going to be. I would defend it or argue against it, but it would be that you didn't get one person being charged something because the rate schedule isn't public information or there isn't an opportunity to really understand. They have a competitive nature of it. One guy's looking at it and the other guy can look at it and say, well,
Now,
Are you getting any of that? I mean,
no,
man,
no.
this is when he becomes very, very low.
That's what I was going to say. This is boosted 600% from their recording.
Yeah.
I can't make it any
that's
louder.
crazy.
That's why the lady walking out
Yeah.
the hallway sounded like it was World War III.
Yes.
I can't do
that
anything
was
about
pretty
this.
gnarly. You know what? I generally agree with Keith Heck on this so far. He's kind of like backing away. Why is that our business? Why are we? And you know what? Somebody that you would expect to say, yeah, I agree with that. You're right. We shouldn't be doing that is Simon Hare. And he's kind of,
Okay, right.
Listen, the fees are none of your business. If the
Right.
safety's what we're talking about here, if you're claiming that this is about safety, then it's about safety. Fee structure has nothing to do with safety. Now we're going to implement fairness and equality across the. I mean, why don't you just come out and lobby Bernie Sanders and see if you can be his running mate here?
But here, one of the other points that I made at the beginning of this, I like the guy. I'm starting to like him a little less. Is Wally Hicks. You see him in the corner there. He said they didn't discuss it at all. Wally. So I gave him a chance to take that back. Wally, they obviously discussed it. No, you're going to need to check your tape, Dale. They didn't discuss it. Well, Keith might be saying it's a bad idea, but saying it's a bad idea is not the same as not discussing it. Deny all recordings. They obviously are discussing it. This is now the second time in a week where, I'm sorry, everybody, Wally's saying that never happened.
Yeah.
Wally.
And you know what? Listen, I understand these guys are the presidents, and he's just basically the secretary who, edits the document for proper consumption.
He's an
And
elected official.
right, but that doesn't mean he has the same type of control in this board that they do. I mean, he can say, hey, he could inject his opinion into it, but you know what? Listen, my opinion of Wally is dropping off as well, and
Well,
I
don't
will
tell me it wasn't discussed, Wally. You can say it was discussed and discarded. It was discussed, and maybe that'll happen. Don't tell me it wasn't discussed. And let me tell you who else said this wasn't discussed. The reporter from the Courier. I like this new guy. I don't recall that being discussed. You don't recall it being discussed? You were in the front row. He's closer than I was. Okay, he didn't recall that being discussed. Simon Hare doesn't recall it being discussed. Wally Hicks doesn't recall it being discussed. What the heck?
Keith Heck knows that it's being discussed right now, and he's saying, I don't like it.
Well, Wally ought to know what he said because he discussed it. I'm not saying he's coming out in favor or against, but he was discussing it. Don't tell me it wasn't discussed at all. Am I the only person in the room that's awake and alive? Come on.
Yeah.
At least you've got us. You've got us. Our viewers have us. When we see this videotape now, look, at least half of you, well, no, let's see, about 4/5 of you need to say, to be in sync with these guys, that what you're now hearing, you're not really hearing because it never happened.
Yeah, there's an issue here.
Yeah.
And that is that, listen, I understand that this is standard operating procedure in cities and counties all over the country. And that my objecting to it, listen, I'm one of these outsider people who is, saying, hey, what you guys are doing is not exactly right. It's bucking the free market system. You're injecting yourself where you don't belong. This is outside the purview of government. And listen, you can have this if that's what you want. But I just think that we're way, way better off without it. There's enough intrusions on the free market. You don't need yet another one. And, this is by far, this is far from objective reporting on my part. I look at this anytime government even begins to skirt around the edges of stepping over the line where they don't belong, I'm going to start barking, and I see when they're talking about fees, tricksters. Yes. And listen, they're over the line, even stepping into safety. I don't even personally I don't think you should be required to wear a helmet on a motorcycle if you don't value your brain bucket. That's your business. If you want to kill yourself, fine. It's
just
up
please
to
not,
you. I think
not
it's
on
stupid.
my car, please, not on my car. But yes, I understand
Right.
your point. but sorry, this goes beyond that. This is the second time in 1 week that somebody is denying the recording. It's bad enough that they're involved where they shouldn't be. It's bad enough where they're increasing bureaucracy by saying they're not increasing bureaucracy. It's a completely different thing to then deny that it ever happened.
Yeah.
They've never done this before. I've been watching this kind of stuff for about 15 years here. And they've never done this of just saying, well, the reason you're wrong is Dave Toller did this because you stink. That was his reason. Okay, that's nice. But okay, and that was bad. This is almost as bad. And the reason that you're wrong, Dale Matthews, is that's not what the tape shows. It's not what the tape shows.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I guess, maybe I shouldn't be riled up about this at all. I should just go, well, this is how they're making the sausage. Let's just all watch it, and then we'll just wait and see what happens when they put out the final draft / the law ordinance, whatever you want to call it.
I expect them to be goofy. I expect them to be goofy. Okay, government's goofy. But don't lie to me. Don't tell me, well, your lying eyes is not as you need to trust all politicians. Well, first, I don't. And the second thing is, you're telling me that what I saw didn't happen. There's other people in the room that didn't see it. They didn't hear it. These are objective people. This is a reporter from the Courier. I talked to him afterwards. I don't recall him saying that. You don't recall him saying it? I wasn't like that. I was very nice. I said, well, here's what they said, and we're going to play this tonight. I went in when I saw Wally, and I said, Wally, I want you to know this is going to be our lead story. It's our only story. And he was like, you could just see the reaction on his face because they did say it. They're obviously saying it. This is the Roy Lindsay tactic. Just say, no, it's not that you're misinterpreting it, Mr. Matthews. No, okay. It's not that it's out of context, Mr. Matthews. Oh, okay. No, it never happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're clearly going back and forth about, wouldn't it be nice if they gave us a fee schedule, and at some point when you're asking them to give you a fee schedule, they're going to start making decisions about whether or not this is kosher.
Is it justified? You've heard him say justified a couple of times. Play a little bit more of the tape here, Mike. Go ahead, bud.
For 50 cents a mile cheaper. That could be the positive thing. Whereas if you don't have it published anywhere, nobody really does know, and it might not be fair to subscribers who live right next to each other.
It's not up to you.
It should seem like it. I can argue both sides.
I just think that we need to have legal counsel clarify that provision in regards to the fees and the rates, because I think that the company should provide those rates to us so they become public information.
Okay.
But we don't dictate what they are, because one company may have more employees, more administrative staff, they may have more trucks, they may have, someone may have a contract for fuel that's 5 cents less than someone else that has a contract for fuel. I mean, and their insurance may cost different because of where they're located. And the majority of their customers may be further away rather than close away, so they're close in distance. So
yeah, I mean, are you going to have to rationalize to them? I mean, this is what she's talking about. You're going to have to rationalize why you charge that much. Well, our contract gives us this much of a price for fuel. We live this far from such and such. We have 5 trucks, and the other guys only have 3 trucks, so we have to charge more.
Okay,
really?
justified.
Is this where we're going? For crying out loud?
Maybe the reason we're doing is because we're greedy. So, what business is it of yours?
And what what is going to be the criteria for a good reason and a bad reason? You're going to have to guess at that. You're going to have to submit the thing to her and go, oh boy, I hope I filled it out right. I hope she doesn't stamp rejected on it. I mean, this is where we're going.
This is what I said to County Fire out in the hallway. And sorry, I don't know what it was with them. I like those guys. You know that I do. But I'm out in the hallway, and I said, so they would have to, you'd have to justify it. I said, but wait a minute. What if they don't approve it? And they kind of looked at me like, I said, what if they don't approve it?
Yeah.
If they're there for the approval process, what if they don't approve it? Now, what are you going to do? They never thought about that.
Yeah, if you have to submit your rates to them, there's a reason for it, and ultimately they can approve or disapprove your rate schedule. And maybe they don't have any intention of doing that. Then knock it off. How about that?
Just give us the power. We'll never use the power, but we'd like you to give it.
Never we will. We will always be good and look out for your safety, because that's all this is about, is your safety. That's all it is.
Trust your politicians. You must trust your politicians. And when they say this never happened, it never happened.
That's right.
Keep going, Mike.
Their overhead costs can be different, and therefore they have to recover their costs and make a profit, otherwise they're not going to be business. So if they provide the sheet to us, we don't tell them what they're going to charge. If we tell them, you're going to charge $2, but it costs them $2.10, they're not going to be in business. That's not what we're aiming to do. So I think that by them providing the rate sheet to us and it becoming part of the agreement with that company, whichever the company might be, then people will know what those rates are. Now, if they need to increase those rates, they come in and say, we need to increase the rates because, and we have, new fee. We don't set those rates because we can't We can't,
I wouldn't want anything to do with setting them.
no, we don't want to set the rates, and that's the majority of comments I've had made to me saying that the county's negotiating what these companies can charge, and that's not what we're doing. But I think it needs to be clarified in here, that they will provide their rate sheets that we can approve, and then if they need.
We can approve. We can approve. God, do you have to be a moron to miss
Yes.
this? I think
Yes,
you do.
And look where Wally is sitting. He didn't hear her say
You know
that.
what?
He's not hearing it again and again and again and again and again. He's not hearing it because she never said it, you see. No matter what
Now-
our tape shows, it didn't happen.
Yeah, but he'll say, didn't you hear the part where she said she didn't want to set their rates or anything like that? Okay, fine. Then why, what is the rationale for submit your rate to the queen, and the queen looks it over and goes, oh, yes, this will be fine. And then the next time you come in and show cause why your rates get to be charged. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait. Oh, no, I failed the cause test. I'm going to have to fill out the cause paper again because I forgot to check a couple of boxes and I forgot to give the proper rationale because it's for the children.
Well, it's when
You
she
know?
says we're not going to try to regulate the rates, or what the exact wording. You heard the exact wording. It reminds me on Saturday, one of the tapes we played back was it's called "You're Stopping Me to Tell Me That You're Not Stopping Me." I said, "You're stopping me." Yes, I am. I said, "Well, why are you stopping me?" Because I'm not stopping you. Yes, you are. You just stopped me. It's
Well,
not my
you know
time.
what?
I'm not going to stop your time. Your time's going while I'm talking. Can I talk? And I said, during my time? No, it's my time.
You know, if you're going to, if you're not going to do anything with rates, then you're not going to do anything with rates. Just don't do anything with rates. It's none of your business. If a guy wants to listen, why don't we just start talking to all the contractors in town? Joe built me a deck and he charged me $5,000. He built a deck next door and he charged them $7,500. That's unfair. Oh man, we need to do something about this. All the contractors need to come down here and submit their rates to the board.
Isn't it the same
for
thing?
approval?
Okay, all right.
Exactly the same
now,
thing.
anticipating an argument from a couple of people that we know, well, she meant that when you turn in your rates, they're going to approve the fact that you turned in your rates. That's not what this means. There's
yes, but they were talking. They were just talking about about fairness between one person and another. Well, sooner or later, they're going to jump in to regulate whether or not it's fair.
That's what this is about.
Otherwise, this situation has no premise at all.
Right.
None whatsoever. So if you're not going to do any of those things, can the rate schedule? And, listen, this is not about safety either. This is about franchise fees.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we're going to show you in our next show. We're not quite done here. We're almost done.
Yeah, there's
you can
a couple
stick
minutes.
You can leave, whatever you like. Don't watch the show. It's okay with us. Well, not really. But they're going to talk the next time about the fact that Cheryl Walker, this is a nice time to say it, that Cheryl Walker doesn't like the fact that they're being criticized for the word franchise. Don't like that franchise thing. No, don't like it. Okay, so she wants to change the word because people don't like franchise. I don't understand why they're confused, but let's change the word to license. We're going to license them. So I go see Wally Hicks afterwards. Sorry, this is about Wally again. Pretty much the whole show is about Wally to me. And I go in and I say, Wally, does the county issue business licenses now? No, they don't. I said, Wally, she was talking about changing a franchise to something that's even worse, license. So is this a business license now? Is now the county going to be handing out business licenses? Wait for it. No, they're not business licenses, Dale. Oh, no. They're licenses for businesses. What? Wally, what's happened to you? What's happened? I'm not saying it's irreversible for Wally. I don't think that it is. But Wally, snap out of it.
This is how small government becomes big. It just is. Okay. It seems innocuous. One little tentacle goes out. Oh yeah, it's for the children. No big deal. And then they grow into that, just like the blob, and then it gets a little bit bigger, throws out another tentacle or five, and grows into that. And this is how this kind of thing happens. And listen, who wants to have 57 different boards for whatever functions? Do you really need to do that? Why can't we have free enterprise happening? In my mind, very little regulation is necessary for most things, and there's a lot of people that would differ with me on that. I just think anytime these guys inject themselves into it and they start adding up little hoops that you got to jump through or hurdles you have to cross, it's going to cost you money. It limits the amount of competition in the marketplace, because some people will look at it and go, "No way, I'm not jumping into that pool. There's too many sharks in there." And so you have one less competitor.
I want to believe this guy, but he actually told me it's not a business license. It's a license of businesses. Do you remember Herb Carter came in and said it's not a listening device, it's a device that listens? A little bit more, Mike. We're going to go a little over. Go a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A couple minutes there.
Saying the companies may be different because of their different overhead costs.
So then, to be clear, a company could change their rates at any point in time, and as long as that was submitted to you along with any other changes.
Submitted.
We've also asked that
along with any
they
other
list
changes.
out their staffing, different things about their response, simply making sure that whatever they're submitting to us current, that would
10 pages in triplicate.
part of the public record.
But no less than annually, probably. If they have to have a rate increase during the year for whatever reason, if their insurance rate goes up or whatever, which I think we've all experienced that last year. So in this county, almost everybody I talked to, their insurance has gone up. So, if that happens, they can request that it be changed to say,
request that it be changed.
Request, and I will deny or okay it.
That's enough.
Yeah.
No, that's more than enough. Now,
Listen,
Wally's sitting there. Okay, I know I'm beating this. Wally's sitting there. Did they discuss the idea that you would need to get your rates approved? No. They could submit their increased rates. And what did she just say?
For your approval.
For them to approve.
Submit them, get them improved. And along with all the criteria, all your hours,
and your justifications. Yes.
Yeah, all your justification, and then I will peruse the document, and then I will put my rubber stamp on it, and you will either have to come back and reapply. I'm sorry, you're going to have to come back and reapply. One of these things didn't meet the criteria. I'm not going to tell you which one it is.
Okay, all right. So look, maybe I'm in the tank for Wally Hicks. Maybe I am. I have high hopes for this guy. Not today. Okay, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do, and Mike can either chime in or not. I'm going to ask you to send an email to Wally Hicks. And Wally, what are you doing? Don't deny that it happened. You're sitting right there, bud. You might talk with Eder Compuzano. He's the new guy at the Courier, and say, Eder, when you're at these meetings, would you please wake up? You don't know that this happened? You didn't see this? I'm sitting right there. And I know what's happening. You're lucky to have us there because somebody's talking. This isn't going to be in the Courier.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what the difference is, though, Dale, is that when you have a guy like Eder, he has to be there. He doesn't want to be there, probably. He isn't really paying attention while he's there. He's not looking to see, okay, how is this thing going to come out? Because he doesn't care. Okay, he's just covering this thing. He's going to say, you know what his note's going to say? They met and talked about the fire control ordinance thing today.
A good time was had by all. Okay, all right. But this meeting, it seemed like half of the meeting. Look how long it took us just to discuss this. It seemed like half of the meeting was about rate structure, approval of rate structure, justifying your rates. Yeah. And he walked out of there not hearing a word of that. Eder, yes. What? And,
Yeah,
and,
no.
and
All- all
I
he
like the
heard-
guys at County Fire, but I was out in the hallway. I said, what if they turn it down? They looked at me like, well,
Yeah.
this affects you. What if they turn it down?
Listen, when government tells you, oh, just submit us your rates, just tell us what your rates are going to be, and we'll and then we'll approve it. And
Well,
then
that's it. It's over.
and then if you have to raise your rates, then you come in and you submit the form for approval. That doesn't mean that they're just going to make that an easy process for you.
No.
Ultimately, you're going to get jacked around. That's what this is about. And listen, even these people that are sitting at that table right there, they think this whole thing is innocuous. That's the insidious thing about government, is that it's nasty, dirty, rotten blob growing, unbeknownst to the people that are making it grow, and unbeknownst to the people that are victims of it. These people, they just think, here I am, I'm an official, and I just want to make sure that all the boxes are checked and the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. That's what I'm about.
And that everything's
about
fair.
safety.
And
It's about you're right.
The contractor does your deck and charges you more than for your neighbor. Why the county should be involved? No.
Yeah. Okay. What are they going to do? Are they going to use the charter to rationalize their interjection into what the county fire is charging two different people? Are they going to, oh, wait a minute, what, the charter says we have to intercede on the part of, if somebody's doing something
Wally
wrong.
said they won't even intercede on the idea of
yes, of course,
actually implementing home rule. But when we
all
walked out
Wally
of
says,
that interview, and when we walked out of there, I said, well, by the way that you're saying it, the charter is a piece of paper that might protect you from the rain, and that's about it. Now you watch, this will be the thumbnail, the Google Pics.
That's right. Yes. Unfortunately, kind of that's where this thing is at now. I mean, Wally says that parts of the charter that in my mind, when I read it, say that the county needs to intercede on the behalf of people who are having their rights violated by somebody, especially if they're of an official capacity.
And constitutional rights. It says right in there, keeping up with the Constitution, this is what you must do. It's not optional.
Right. And Wally's reading of that is that's licensed to do nothing.
Oh, yeah.
So,
he said they're required to do nothing. They're required to do nothing.
Yeah. So his reading on this stuff, I'm not really all that surprised anymore. Unfortunately, there are very few, Republicans here who I can say that are going to take the lance and drive hard to charge against evil.
But Mikey almost ended up being head of the Republican Party for the entire state. While he is
how high of a bar is that really? Oregon is one of the bluest states there is.
Yeah, but then even more, what you need is, there's a reason that we're blue. It's the other kind of blue. But there's even more reason for someone to stand up strong in favor of the things that make them a Republican, right?
One would think so. Yeah. And you know what? I'll just, I'll have a glass of red wine after the show here and mellow out just a little bit. But this is the kind of thing that bothers me. I have an opinion. I believe that government does too much, and they need to stop doing just every little thing, getting their oar in the water all the time, or let's add some more oars or whatever. I think that's a bad idea. I think the less that you have of these people injecting themselves into the normal course of business or daily life, the less of that you have, the better off you are.